Thank you for listening to the Failsafe Moment. Grab a cup of coffee and let's join Rob Statham for another informative discussion helping people learn from things that go wrong.
Welcome everybody. My name's Rob Statham. I'm your host for this podcast, Failsafe Moments, where we talk about helping people learn from things that go wrong, improving human performance, certainly organizational performance. Failsafe's motto is to help people learn from things that go wrong without hurting them in the process. That's one thing we're serious about. If you have any familiarity with Failsafe at all, I believe wholeheartedly that it's impossible to blame and understand at the same time. In fact, I'm positive they're actually inversely proportional. So the moment we begin to blame anyone, it can be our spouse, it can be someone at work, we instantly turn our brains off, if you'll let me be so blunt, and we quit even trying to understand. A couple thoughts that I wanted to talk with you about today. We're kicking around offering a 3-day class with the 4th day to specialize if you're going to lead latent cause analysis. You want to understand the ins and outs and the intricacies of leading a stakeholder meeting. Or the 4th day option could also be for executives, or the third option could be for people that are going to be participating, right? You're trying to inculcate a latent cause analysis mindset. So anyhow, I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are, if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. A 3-day class with that 4th day option, depending on your bent, your interest. Feel free to let me know in the comments or get on our website and contact us. We'd really like to hear from you. The other thought that I had that I wanted to talk to you about is I love the concept of getting the right people in the room, learning groups, getting the right people in the room to understand problems. I think whenever we can understand something, it's so valuable. And people much smarter than me have talked about this for years and years. But I love the idea. I hope I'm giving credit where credit's due. I think Bob Edwards was the first to come up with the idea of a black line and a blue line. And the black line is the way we think we do things, the way maybe we should do things. And the blue line is what we're actually doing out there in the field to get things done. And there's a gap. And when you can bring people together in the room and talk about that gap, make it visible, great things can happen. And I agree with all of that. I love that entire concept. From my viewpoint, I've been involved doing latent cause analysis now for well over 20 years. And when I think about that, black line and blue line, to me, it just screams that it's evidence. It's evidence of latency. Latent causes are what's underlying our problems, and it points to what we call the conservation of wretchedness. Just as there's conservation laws in science, the conservation law for energy or mass, we believe there's a conservation law for the choices people make. And whenever we do what we know we ought not do, or we don't do what we know we should do, we set a failure in motion. And that's what you discover on every single investigation. When something goes wrong, you'll find choices that people made where they knew what they ought to do, but they had reasons not to do it. In fact, we require people we call it the golden rule of latent cause analysis, that you try to understand to such an extent that you say you would have done the same thing if you were in their shoes, in that person's shoes. Because people get put in, they know how it's supposed to be, and then they face real world. That's the way I put it. And they make choices, and sometimes things don't work out. Well, the whole idea of latency is to make that visible. So it's very much like the concept with learning groups. Um, the one thing that is so effective about latent cause analysis is, I'm not sure when you get the right people in the room, just broaching a subject or talking about things doesn't always bring uh, all of the truth out, if you will. There's times where it might be um, embarrassing for someone to talk about something that they did or didn't do that contributed to that gap in the line between the black line and the blue line. And I don't know that they'll always share that. In fact, I'm pretty convinced that they won't, at least not all the time. And the other thing that I think about is, what about as an individual, just a single person, not a group? Isn't isn't there a gap? Isn't there a black line and a blue line, literally just for each individual? Um, I mean, I'd like to think that I always do what I know I ought to do, but there's times I have reasons not to, and again, I set that conservation of wretchedness into motion. I'll literally set a failure in motion. Something bad's going to happen to me uh, now or later, or to someone else. Someone is going to suffer the consequences of my poor choice. And I'm not sure that individuals ever take the time to think about that one on one, just with themselves. And I said all that to tell you that that's the whole purpose of latent cause analysis. It's an extremely effective process that walks people through introspection, where they can see their part. It holds them accountable in a very healthy way because they agree to it, not because they're forced. We just ask everyone to try to understand to such an extent they're convinced they do the same thing. Well, that's banning blame. We also ask everybody that they'll look at themselves. They'll consider how they contributed or played a part in something that goes wrong. So it could be something as simple as the difference between the black line and the blue line. Things that we do, maybe nothing blew up, but it's not how we're supposed to do it. Well, those are small, unresolved problems. That's exactly what causes larger problems. So I love the concept of it, but I think where industry's missing it is they don't have an effective process that will help people see their part. Uh, and this is for all levels of an organization. And that's what we offer with Failsafe, with latent cause analysis. So that's what's been on my mind the last few days. We were in Dallas last week doing a latent cause experience and had a great time. And we have another one scheduled next week. And I just know there's so many people out there that they need to grab a hold of this process because it helps. It's so effective. It's not something that you have to buy software and you get charged every month either. Uh, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm kind of a field guy. I'm not the highbrow. I don't live in just a philosophic world. I came out of the field, and I've used this process. I used it at work. I've used it as a manager. I've used it doing investigations, and it works. The people that love it the most are the people out there doing the work, because it brings everything to light. The further away from the tip of the spear, so to speak, people are, the less they tend to think that they have a part to play in it. That's why you need latent cause analysis. So I hope you have a great weekend. If you'd like more information, feel free to contact us. I'd love to talk to you more about it. And next week we'll.
Thank you for listening to the Failsafe Moment. We'd love to hear from you. Share your comments and questions below, or contact us through our website, www.failsafe-network.com. Once again, that's www.failsafe-network.com. Until next time, have a great day.